So you have a problem with your latest project because a plain background is too plain, but a stenciled background is too busy. What's a crafter to do? Maybe you just need to get a little more selective with your stenciling. Every technique video is narrated live while I'm doing the technique, so you're getting a real-time view of how the whole process works. Pull out the supplies I'm using and create right along with me, pausing as you need. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. So I have some floral pieces here that I've made up in a little background oval that I'm going to use, and I'm really excited about creating this card. So I pull out a piece of white cardstock and I think, oh, this is going to look so classy. It's going to have this really great plain background, and I can just add in some of these florals and it's going to look great. So I do that, but it looks way too plain. So then I pull out my stencils because I love stencils, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to do it this way and that's going to look really awesome. But no, it's totally lost in here and it doesn't really look so great. And of course, if I wanted to use a floral, these don't really match. So I'm not really sure what to do here, but I know there's a way that I can use stencils with these images to create something that's a little bit more elevated than just a plain white background. So what I'm going to do here is something called selective stenciling. Let's turn both of these over. I mean, these are really gorgeous panels, but they are not for this particular style of card. I'm going to flip these over, and it kind of reminds me of when you do just a little swirl with some ink and your blending brush to create a nice soft background that kind of helps elevate that particular layer. Okay, but we're going to do it with the stencil. So I've got that same crosses stencil here, and we're going to get this attached down, and I'm going to selectively stencil. I'm just using the same color that I used on the front side, this Puffy Heart, and I'm going to only put the lightest amount of ink on here, and I'm only going to put it in certain places. So if my oval and my little piece here are going to end up like in the center, perhaps I just want to do a little bit of stenciling like that. You see how light that is? Not much at all. What I'm trying to do is simply break up the background here. It doesn't need to be in your face because we want the stencil to actually turn into a supporting cast member. So look, we went from this to this, and watch what happens. So now we don't have a plain white background where everything looks stark and kind of boring and plain. We've got something that has a little bit of movement and motion. And when we put these pieces on top of it, all of a sudden something looks a little bit more elevated than it did before. We don't have just a plain white background or even a plain colored background. We have a little bit of motion. We've got a geometric with a floral, and then we've got this beautiful floral centerpiece that looks amazing now because we've taken just the right steps with our stencils. Now we can even do this with layering stencils and florals that don't even match. So this layered Dahlia stencil is a two-step stencil. It totally doesn't match the style of these flowers at all, but we can use them. Okay, so we're going to do the same technique. I'm going to get this, secure this down. And again, I'm just going to take the same color. I'm not even going into different colors. You can explore different colors, contrasting, and the way that they blend together when you use dye inks. It's really gorgeous, the looks that you can create. But at its core, you're just doing this kind of selective stenciling where you're not putting it down everywhere. You're doing it very lightly, and you're going to get this really wispy kind of look. All right, so I'm going to take my second layer and put that right over top. I'm going to match it up. Super easy to do. And in this case, I don't even have to match up exactly where I stenciled before. Sometimes it's even better to get into the areas where it's still white to get that second layer on its own. And then in some places, do the layering because that's going to make it darker, right? But we're going to get that same kind of wispy look. So instead of having something like this that is bold and in your face, and again, doesn't really match with this particular flower, when I turn it over, Now it's just like a hint, and I can do something really cool with this. If I'm not going to back this with an oval or anything like that, you know, something like this, and I could fill this out, it would look really great. But if I wanted to just kind of do these guys separately, I could even take my blending tool after I've got my stencil down and just make a nice little faded area to really have that fade out. All right, so I've got like a little glowy area here that this can go along with my sentiment. I've got another little piece here. I can add a little sentiment strip there, and this would look just absolutely stunning. And if you're looking to elevate this even further, you don't have to limit it to just white. You can do the same technique on colored paper and get the same result. So look, we've got those gorgeous crisscrosses going on there, or even the floral look. And you'll have a beautiful result with some selective stenciling instead of stenciling all over. I hope you enjoyed this technique and you add it into your toolbox sometime soon. When you give it a try, share it out on Instagram and tag me at NicoleWattCreates. I always love to see what your creative mind is thinking. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. And until next time, happy crafting.